So, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Course in Miracles with Keith podcast. If you are listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, you can check out information on our online community, these meetings, paid private mentoring with myself if it interests you on the website. It's acimwithkeith.com. All right, so let us get started. So we will take some quotes from A Course in Miracles. And I want to start with lesson number one. Nothing I see means anything. Nothing I see means anything. So have a look around your room there. The computer or the phone in front of you doesn't actually mean anything. The walls of the room do not mean anything. None of your body parts mean anything. The view outside the window does not mean anything. Nothing I see means anything. Period. So everything that appears to be here, everything that's apparently happening is just what is. It's just what's happening in the dream. And it has no story. It has no story. It has no story of good or bad, right or wrong, sinful or holy. It doesn't have a story. It has no meaning. It is what's apparently happening. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what's happening in this moment. That's lesson number one. Now, we then take a trip through 365 lessons, and then we return to lesson one to embody it. To embody it. Everything is just what's happening. It doesn't have a story. And that is the end of suffering achieved in this lifetime. That's the end of suffering. Everything is just what's happening, but it doesn't mean anything. It is what's apparently happening. It doesn't mean anything. It has no story. It's just what is. It's just what's appearing. That's all. That is salvation. And we get it right at the very beginning with lesson one. Nothing actually means anything. So then the course hits us with the problem in lesson two. Lesson two says, I have given all the meaninglessness I see, all the meaning it has for me. There you go. Everything is just what's apparently happening. But we have stories. Oh, we have stories. It's happening to a me. It's good and it's bad. It's right and it's wrong. It should and it shouldn't. It's fair and it's unfair. There's good bits and bad bits. There's bits we should have more of and bits we should have less of. That's a story. And that's suffering. In the dream, physical and emotional pain are perceptual facts in the dream, not suffering. In the dream, there will be cycles of pleasure and pain. There will be emotional and physical pain, but not suffering. That's the story. Pain is just what's apparently happening in this moment. That's what is. Suffering is, it shouldn't be here. It's happening to me. Wasn't here half an hour ago. It's still here now. What if it's still here forever? That's suffering. That's suffering. And everything everyone is doing in the world is just what's apparently happening. It doesn't have a story. No story. But when you mix yourself up with the thought world, the wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind, your internal private world, which is your own personal hell, there are stories. There are stories. And that is the cause of suffering, not the dream. Crucifixion does not cause suffering. The story about the crucifixion, that's where the suffering is. That's the message of A Course in Miracles. I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. Can I be hurt by crucifixion? No. Can I be hurt by my thoughts about crucifixion? Hell yes. Perhaps it will be helpful to remember that no one can be angry at a fact. It is always an interpretation which is the cause of suffering, no matter how justifiable it seems by the facts. The fact is there's physical pain. The fact is there's emotional pain. The fact is people are doing this. So what? That's what's happening. That's just what is. That's what's happening in this moment. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. There is no should or shouldn't. That's what's happening in this moment. And there are thoughts and emotions arising in you. And that's what's happening in this moment. That's a perceptual fact. But it hasn't got a story. There's no story. But we live in a world of stories, a private world of stories. Yeah, there's some crossover, but no two stories are the same. The world you've manufactured in your mind out of your stories of self and other, of broken pieces with individual existences, has no reality whatsoever. It's just a story that you have made up and are now caught in. And the Course seeks to free you from your stories. The holy instant or awakening is nothing more than awakening out of your mind's stories. And embodying lesson one. Nothing means anything. That's the forgiven world. It's just what's happening. And it's accepted. And from that acceptance, there's expressions of love. When there is acceptance instead of judgment. That's the message of A Course in Miracles. It's really simple. So the problem is the stories. The problem is the interpretation. So Christ's vision is the world that is appearing to happen in this moment before a story touches it, before a thought touches it. That's what's already here. Your private world is delusion. It's just made up. It's just an overlay that you're projecting out onto what is in this moment. And it's utterly false. It has no reality whatsoever because there's only what is. So Christ's vision being the goal of the workbook is about learning to experience the world directly and not mediated by meaningless thoughts, by the mind's labels, the mind's judgments. And there is a way to see the world without the ego's labels and judgments. So lesson 8 tells us, while thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, so this is the wild illusion mind, frantic and distraught with no reality whatsoever, that you call me. While thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. The truth is one. The truth is indivisible. That which is all-encompassing can have no opposite. The truth is everything, and everything is the truth. There is no tiny mad idea. It was a thought. That's the real world. A perfect reflection of truth. But you can't see it when your mind is labeling everything and judging everything, and when you're identifying with that as though it's you, when the truth is you cannot judge. Recognizing that your mind has been merely blank rather than believing it is filled with real ideas is the first step to opening the way to vision. There you go. Your first step is to understand there are thoughts happening in your mind. And then lesson 4 says, and they don't mean anything. When you think you're thinking those thoughts, your mind is really blank, but you're not really thinking about anything. They're not your thoughts. Yes, you can get lost in them. Yes, you can identify with them. Yes, you can think they are you. They're your thoughts. They're true. And you should believe them and trust them. You can do all that and be lost to the matrix of the ego, the private world, which is veiling the real world, which is what's actually here. So, chapter 28, section 4, paragraph 9, lovely, lovely description of the real world. I thank you, Father, knowing you will come to close each little gap that lies between the broken pieces of your Holy Son. Your holiness, complete and perfect, lies in every one of them, and they are joined because what is in one is in them all. How holy is the smallest grain of sand when it is recognized as being part of the completed picture of God's Son. The forms the broken pieces seem to take mean nothing, for the whole is in each one, and every aspect of the Son of God is just the same as every other part. Join not your brother's dreams, but join with him, and where you join his Son, the Father is. And they are joined because what is in one is in them all. What's in everything is the same awareness, one awareness. That's it. There is one awareness in which the whole world is arising, out of which the world is made. The only reality of everything that's arising is the one awareness. And that's the awareness into which it's all dissolving back again. Everyone and everything you look at is that awareness. There is no self and other. Awareness is appearing as different bodies. We're not negating that. We're not saying that's not happening. But there's only one identity everywhere. Anything else is a figment of your imagination. It's what your thought world says, and it's not true. There is only one identity everywhere, and you're it. Except there's no you separate from it to say, I am that. Awareness is what you are. There is no you to claim it. Awareness is what you already are. And the only thing veiling that is the thought world. So when you stop identifying with the wild illusion mind, which we do through forgiveness, surrender, allowing all things to be exactly as they are, and when awareness returns to your awareness as what you are, you have remembered for the whole world. You have remembered for the whole world. The whole is in each one. Everywhere you look is the awareness that's appearing as everything. Every dream figure you behold, the only identity there is the one dreamer. That is the only identity that's here. All else is a figment of your imagination, an illusion caused by identifying with thoughts, by the process of selfing and othering, where you awareness dissociate your identity as awareness by identifying with objects of yourself made out of yourself with no reality other than yourself, a particular body, a particular set of thoughts and emotions, a particular set of memories. And now that you awareness don't know your awareness anymore, you think you are a big bag of conditioning. You look out, and this awareness that's appearing as everything, you don't see it. Once you've attacked yourself, you attack the whole world. Once you've selfed, you will other. Once you think you're an ego, which you're not, once you think you're an ego, you look out into a world where there are no egos, and your mind makes up egos with thoughts. But there are no egos. There is one awareness appearing as everything. That's what's here. That's the real world. That's not something you achieve in the future. That's what's already true. And the only thing that's veiling the truth from itself, because you are the truth, is identification with objects. Not the objects. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, none of that's the problem. The problem is that you think there's a you that owns this, that is defined by this, that is separate and different from everything else. You think there's a you that stands apart from everything. There's not. You are the whole that is in everything. You are not what your mind tells you you are. And the world is not what your mind tells you it is. The world is not a world of broken pieces. It is not a world of self and other. It's a world where the whole is in each one. That's what's here. Everything else is a delusion caused by identification with thoughts. It is your private world. It is fiction. And it is what the Course wants to rescue us from. So this is from, I didn't write down where it's from, but you'll recognize it. Christ's vision has one law. It does not look upon a body and mistake it for the Son whom God created. It beholds a light beyond the body, an idea beyond what can be touched by anything, a purity undimmed by errors, pitiful mistakes, and fearful thoughts of guilt from dreams of sin. Christ's vision sees no separation, and it looks on everyone, on every circumstance, all happenings and all events, without the slightest fading of the light it sees. One light as everything, everything as one light. That light is the light of unconditioned awareness. It is awareness unmediated by the mind. It is a seeing unsoiled by thought, by judgment, by label. This can be taught, and it must be taught by all who would achieve it. It requires but the recognition that the world cannot give anything that faintly can compare with this in value, nor set up a goal that does not merely disappear when this has been perceived. Christ's vision. And this you give today. See no one as a body. Greet him as the Son of God. Now, the Son of God is the light in everything, which you cannot think about. It's the escape from concepts. It is the great mystery that's everywhere. You can only be the great mystery. You cannot think about it, or have a story about it, or a concept for it. You cannot label it. It just is. It is what everything is. Everything is this. One identity, one light. Everything else is the mind's fiction. Greet him as the Son of God he is, acknowledging that he is one with you in this holiness. You can't share your ego. Your story of who you are, your self-concept, the imaginary separate self thoughts cause you to believe yourself to be. You can't share that. That's not the whole that's in everything. That's a separateness delusion caused by identification with the wild illusion mind. It's not true. And it can't be shared. It is an impossibly separate identity which cannot exist in God's creation. Because the sum total of God's creation is one. The delusion is that there's many. There are not. There is one appearing as many. The only reality of the many is the one, the light in everything. Pure awareness, unsoiled by the mind's labels and judgments and thoughts. That is what's here. Only thought is causing you to believe in a world of self and other, in a world of broken pieces. When you stop identifying with thoughts, that world is gone. That world is done. And it was never here. There was only ever this. There was only ever unity. There was only ever one light as everything and everyone. So, chapter 13, section 7, paragraph 2. The world you see must be denied. This is the world of self and other, the world of broken pieces, the world of good and bad and right and wrong and should and shouldn't. The world you see, based on identification with the wild illusion mind, must be denied. For the sight of it is costing you a different kind of vision. Christ vision, the light in everything, and everything as that light. You cannot see both worlds, for each of them involves a different kind of seeing. So the ego seeing is mediated by the mind's judgments. Christ vision is direct. It is not mediated by thoughts or labels or descriptions or concepts. And it depends on what you cherish, the tiny mad idea or the truth. The sight of one is possible because you have denied the other. Christ vision is possible when you've denied everything your mind tells you about the world, when you disidentify from it, when you experience the world directly without thoughts. Conversely, Christ vision is hidden from you, and an illusion becomes possible when you identify with the mind's judgments. It's butchery. It's butchering of the world into self and other, right and wrong, good and bad, into imaginary broken pieces. There are no broken pieces. There's just one awareness as everything. So the sight of one is possible because you have denied the other. You either see the world untouched by the mind's madness, or you see the mind's madness projected onto the world, making it seem like it's something it's not. Both are not true. Yet either one will seem as real to you as the amount to which you hold it dear. The idea of separateness or the truth. And yet their power is not the same because their real attraction to you is unequal. Only one is true. So a contender with lesson 93 for my favorite lesson in the workbook, lesson 268. Let all things be exactly as they are. No story. No story. What's here when I directly experience the world that's here with no story about it, without going to the mind for its lies? Let me not be your critic, Lord, today, and judge against you. Let me not attempt to interfere with your creation, because remember, creation is one, and distort that oneness into sickly forms, self and other, the good ones and the bad ones, the right ones and the wrong ones, to distort unity into imaginary broken pieces, an illusion manufactured by thought. There really are separate things. There are separate people. There are good things and bad things. Let me not interfere with your creation, which is one, and distort it into sickly forms. Let me be willing to withdraw my wishes from its unity, the wish for separateness, for specialness, the wish to stand apart from creation as an impossibly separate self, in judgment, and identifying as the innocent victim, an illusion. You are the whole that's in everything. Your thoughts about what you are, your self-concept, is pure delusion. It is not true. It is not what you are. Let me be willing to withdraw my wishes from its unity, to see self and other, and thus to let it be as you created it. One. For thus will I be able to recognize my capital S self as you created me, which has got nothing to do with the story in your mind about what you are. It's pure awareness, unsoiled by thoughts. It's what you are. You just can't think about it. Or you manufacture a self-concept, a fiction. So because you cannot think about what you are, because the self transcends thought, if you try to think about what you are, you manufacture an illusion, a self-concept, a story of what you are. But the self is storyless. It is not bound by stories. Nothing has ever touched it or changed it as God created it, despite the mind's stories. To the contrary, it preceded stories. The self is prior to the first story. It is not bound by stories. In love, I was created. So the Course tells us, God is just a word we use for love. God is but love. So nothing apart from love, just love. Not a man in the sky, love. God is but love, and therefore so am I. That love that God is my capital S self. There's no me. That love is what I am. The me I take myself to be is an illusion, again, caused by believing the mind's fictional stories. In love I was created, and in love I will remain forever. We've never been able to change the truth of what we are, except in stories. But stories aren't true. And the moment you stop identifying with them, believing them, taking them seriously, mistaking them for truth, what you've always been is unveiled. And that was all that was ever here. The whole dream is thoughts. That's it. Not even thoughts, identification with them. What can frighten me when I let all things be exactly as they are? Nothing. Fear requires a story. It requires time, a story about past, present, and future, a story about what should and shouldn't be. Suffering always requires a story. No story, no suffering, just what is. Just unity appearing as this world and still unity. That's what's here when you stop identifying with the mind. What can frighten me when I let all things be exactly as they are? Let not our sight be blasphemous today, where the mind mediates what we see. Nor let our ears attend to lying tongues. Thoughts. The Course calls thoughts the values from the past. So let us see the world without the stain of thoughts obscuring it. Only reality, which is unity. No self and other. That's the fake world caused by thoughts. Only reality is free of pain. Only reality is free of loss. Only reality is wholly safe. And it is only this we seek today. The person you imagine yourself to be when you identify with thoughts can't be free of pain. The person you imagine yourself to be cannot be free of suffering, cannot be free of loss. Only your reality is wholly safe. And it is only this we seek today. And it's already here. Reality is unalterable, unchangeable. And the only thing that is obscuring that is identification with the mind, the addiction to labels, judgments. Now, what you are as this pure awareness, the light of the world, that which is everything and which everything is, can't judge. You cannot judge. As the Course says, you've been asked not to judge. This is not to take a right off you. You cannot judge. In other parts of the Course, it's saying, well, if if you were going to judge, you can't because you don't know what's happening throughout all dimensions of time. That's one argument. Okay? How could you possibly judge without all the facts, which you don't have? But this is a different argument. Here, the Course is really laying it on the line. What you are can't judge. You can only believe the ego's judgments, those thoughts, that wild illusion in your mind. You can only call that me and say my judgments, but they're not your judgments because you can't judge. You can only believe the ego's judgments, all of which are false, but you can't judge. Again, you can identify with illusions and think yourself an illusion, but you can't be an illusion. You are as God created you already. It has never been alterable except in the thought world. All right. So we're really digging down deep today into what Christ's vision is and how it is not something that you add to yourself. That would be an error. Christ's vision is already here. Christ's vision is achieved by what you subtract, which is identification with the mind. That reveals Christ's vision, which is what's already here. The mind is just projecting an overlay on top of how reality is appearing. So this is subtraction. It's disidentification from the wild illusion mind and all of its judgments and concepts and beliefs. So this lesson we're going to look at is giving us the unequivocal statement that there is consciousness without thoughts, that you can see the world unmediated by the mind's madness, that you can know the real world, experience it directly right now in this moment, because it's already here and you're already experiencing it directly. But the only thing that's veiling it is the overlay of self and other. So we talked about this last week, but the Course talks to you as awareness, as the light of the world, and speaking to you as the whole that is in everything. It says, everyone makes an ego or a self for himself, a me out of stories. Everyone makes an ego or a self for himself, which is subject to enormous variation because it's not made by or with the unalterable. It's just a story. It's changing all the time. And then it tells us, and then he makes an ego for everyone else he perceives. You, the whole that is in everything. You, awareness, unsoiled by thought or belief. Imagine yourself to be me, and you look out at awareness, which is appearing as everything, what you are that's appearing as everything, and you see it as other. You make up a story with thoughts about all the separate selves that are out there in the world. There are no separate selves in the world. Only when you identify as one does the world appear that way. Only when you, awareness, have attacked yourself to identify with a story do you look out at awareness everywhere and attack it to see it as stories. So this next lesson, it brings us a little bit beyond the stories of good and bad, right and wrong, self and other, holy and unholy, should and shouldn't. It brings us a little bit beyond all this. And it's telling us the ego mind is constantly looking and saying, computer, light, door, table, hand, body, floor, furniture. The ego mind is constantly doing that. It is labeling. It is naming. The ego mind is looking at awareness, one awareness, as the identity of absolutely everything that's appearing. And it starts naming parts of this awareness as though they are discrete. So the Course tells us there is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. The reason for that is because the world is only borrowing its appearance from consciousness. The world has no independent existence of its own. One consciousness is appearing as everything, and the only reality of everything is consciousness. That's why there is no world. There's only consciousness appearing as a world, but the only reality of anything is consciousness. Ultimately, the only reality of consciousness is the absolute, is God. But that's the next step. There is no world, there is only consciousness appearing as a world. Absolutely everything is this consciousness. But the ego mind names. It separates out. It says table as though that is a discrete object with its own reality. It is not. It is awareness. The same awareness you are. So the ego mind is constantly naming all the parts of unity and saying they have a discrete existence. That table has a discrete existence. That chair has a discrete existence. This body has a discrete existence. It is something different than what everything else is. No, it's not. No, it's not. If I make a modeling clay street out of modeling clay, there is no street. There is only modeling clay appearing as a street. The only reality of the people, the dogs, the trees, and the modeling clay street is modeling clay. There are no people. There is modeling clay appearing as people. In the same way, there is no world. There is only consciousness appearing as a world. And the only reality of everything is consciousness. One consciousness. One. One modeling clay only. You are that. The modeling clay that's appearing as everything. That is what you are. The everything is not real. Only the modeling clay that's appearing as everything is real. And it's always modeling clay. It is always awareness. That is what's here. That is what's everywhere. That is what you are. There is nothing but this. So the lesson is lesson 184. The name of God is my inheritance. Now, the Course makes it clear that God has no name, because who would name God if there's nothing outside of God? Therefore, you have no name, and nothing you're looking at has a name. There is only oneness. Okay, lesson 184. You live by symbols. You see, this is the problem. We do not experience the world that's here. We live in our mind interacting with the words for what's here, the symbols for what's here. A symbol is not reality. A symbol is not the truth. It is a label. It is a concept about what's here. It is not what's here. They are mere symbols. Thoughts are symbols. They masquerade as truth, but they're just stories about truth. And truth has no story. Truth has no name. You live by symbols. You think symbols are true. You have made up names for everything you see. Each one becomes a separate entity, identified by its own name. Table, chair, computer, body, thoughts, feelings, emotions, others. By this, the ego is naming. You carve it out of unity. You deny unity. You deny the oneness that's here, even in the dream. And you go, no, this is a discrete object. It has a name, table. But there's no table. There's awareness. It's appearing as something your mind is calling a table, but it's awareness. Just like awareness is appearing as something your mind is calling a body, but it's awareness. It's the whole that's in each one. By this, you designate its special attributes and set it off from other things by emphasizing space surrounding it. But there's no space. There's awareness appearing as the table. And its only truth is awareness. There's awareness appearing as the chair, and its only truth is awareness. And there's awareness appearing as space, and the only truth is awareness. There's no space. There's only awareness. The whole that's in everything. This space you lay between all things to which you give a different name, all happenings in terms of place and time, all bodies which are greeted by a name that marks them out as other, as discrete, as separate, as ego, which isn't here. That's just your private thought world. This space you see as setting off all things from one another is the means by which the world's perception is achieved. The tiny mad idea, separateness, self and other. You see something where nothing is. There's only nothing appearing as everything, and everything is the same nothing. The alive, awake, aware, non-conceptually intelligent nothing that awareness is, that you are. You see something where nothing is. Nothing is all form, and all form is nothing. No thing. And see as well nothing where there is unity. Only one nameless name for everything and everyone. Only one identity everywhere. Only the whole that is in everything. Thus do you think that you have given life in separation. Self and other. This and that. Good and bad, right and wrong. Table and chair. Discrete entities. Separate entities. Not the one awareness that's everything. By this split, self and other, this and that, you think you are established as a unity which functions with an independent will. You think you are something separate, discrete, a ghost in the body, with your own independent will, separate from the rest of the world, which is delusion. This is what identifying with the wild illusion mind does for us. Causes us to live in a virtual reality world of self and other, where I am a discrete entity with a separate will. That's not true. There are no discrete entities. Only naming makes it seem like there are separate identities. There are not. In the world directly experienced, without being mediated by the mind, there is no self and other. There can't be. When you experience the world that is here without the mind's lies projected onto it, there is no self and other. There are no discrete entities. There is one about awareness appearing as everything and everyone. What are these names by which the world becomes a series of discrete events? Then and now, now and later, this and that, me and you. What are these names by which the world becomes a series of discrete events, of things ununified, of bodies kept apart, and holding bits of mind as separate awarenesses? There is only one awareness. There is only one mind. Everything you're looking at is mind. The mind that you are. not what the wild illusion mind tells you you are. What are these names by which the world becomes a series of discrete events, of things ununified, of bodies kept apart and holding bits of mind as separate awarenesses? The good ones and the bad ones, the holy ones and the unholy ones, the ones I like and the ones I don't like. There's no ones, only one. You gave these names to them, establishing perception as you wished to have perception be. A world of self and other, a world of specialness, a world which gives an apparent reality to you as a separate self that doesn't exist. The nameless things were given names, and thus reality was apparently given them as well. Discrete objects and not the whole that's in everything. For what is named is given meaning, and we know from lesson one that it doesn't mean anything, and will then be seen as meaningful, a cause of true effect, with consequences inherent in itself. There is one awareness that's appearing as everything and everyone. There is no cause and effect in the dream. There are no independent wills causing things to be a certain way, because there are no independent wills. There's only one consciousness appearing as everything and everyone. The story, characters, and furniture cannot be a cause of anything because they're a story. But this naming brings an apparent world to apparent life, a world of self and other, good and bad, should and shouldn't, discrete objects, and not one modeling clay as the only truth of everything I'm beholding, which will be Christ's vision, which is already here. You just have an overlay of thoughts over it, an overlay of names, carving out a unity that is indivisible with thought. This is the way reality is made by partial vision. Reality is one. Partial vision. A vision which is mediated by the insane mind. And names that seem, that manufacture the illusion of discrete entities and discrete objects when there's no such thing. This is the way reality is made by partial vision, purposefully set against the given truth, which is one. Its enemy is wholeness, one. It conceives of little things, discrete entities, different from other entities. It conceives of little things and looks upon them. And a lack of space, a sense of unity or vision that sees differently becomes the threat which it must overcome, conflict with, and deny. God's reality of one is denied. How can there be one when I have named the table and the chair, the body and the thoughts, the feelings and the stories and the memories, the others? But they're just stories. They are just names for the nameless. They are fictional broken pieces in a truth, a reality that cannot be broken. Yet does this other vision still remain a natural direction for the mind to channel its perception. It is hard to teach the mind 1,000 alien names and thousands more. Look what you've done. Look at all the names you've learnt to cover over the oneness of the truth. Yet you believe this is what learning means. Separating out this and that. New names, new concepts, new descriptions. You believe this is what learning means. It's one essential goal by which communication is achieved and concepts can be meaningfully shared. This is the sum of the inheritance the world bestows. Specialness, separateness, suffering, pain, victims and victimizers, observers and observed, the good ones and the bad ones, me and you. This is the sum of the inheritance the world bestows. Discrete objects, no oneness. And oneness is all that's true. And everyone who learns to think that it is so accepts the signs and symbols that assert the world is real. Now again, reality is appearing as the world. But the world that these symbols assert is the world of self and other. The world of this and that. The world of discrete objects, which isn't here. It's like the modeling clay has forgotten its modeling clay and identifies as the modeling clay man. And now it looks out at the whole street made of modeling clay, what it is, and it doesn't see modeling clay. It thinks it sees real people, real dogs, real trees, discrete entities. But there's no discrete entities. It's all modeling clay. But when modeling clay awakens to itself from the dream it became a man, it looks back at the man and the whole modeling clay street and sees only itself. Only thoughts could say otherwise. Only thoughts could say there's something else here apart from one modeling clay. And thoughts lie. It is for this they stand, the signs and symbols, the names, the labels. They leave no doubt that what is named is there. There actually is a computer in front of me. There's not awareness appearing as a computer. There's a real computer. No, all that's real here is the awareness that's appearing as everything, the awareness that you are. It can be seen as is anticipated. What denies that it is true is but illusion. For it is the ultimate reality. To question it is madness. So the ultimate reality is the world of discrete objects, self and other, this and that. Discrete, separate, different. No modeling clay anywhere. A real world, not modeling clay appearing as a world. The ultimate reality, there's a real world. No, there's not. There's awareness appearing as the world, and its only reality is ever awareness. And you are that awareness. To question this, the world of self and other, this and that, the world of separateness, of broken pieces, to question it is madness. To accept its presence is the proof of sanity, the world of separateness. Such is the teaching of the world. Discrete objects, discrete entities, separate wills. It is a phase of learning everyone who comes must go through. This is very important. So when you appear to come into the world, are born as a baby, you do not see a world of this and that. You do not see a world of self and other. You do not know I. You only know what is. It is the direct experience of the real world. It is unmediated by the mind because there's no thoughts yet. No labels have been learned that would seem to butcher the oneness. When you were a baby, all you saw was the modeling clay that was you as everything. There was no self and other. It was everywhere, here and here, everywhere. So now we could easily think, oh, well, that's a bad thing then. We shouldn't do that for babies. No, this is the importance of this statement. It is a phase of learning everyone who comes must go through. So the course is not saying to us, set up special schools where the kids are not taught labels, where they're not taught, that there's a this and there's a that there's discrete entities. The course is going, that's not what this is about. Everyone who comes here must go through that phase of learning. The next part is equally important. Such is the teaching of the world. It is a phase of learning everyone who comes must go through. But the sooner he perceives on what it rests, separateness, specialness, how questionable are its premises, discrete objects and entities, how doubtful its results, the sooner does he question its effects. Learning that stops with what the world would teach stops short of meaning. So it's just said, look, all kids in the dream are going to have to learn all the words, be able to function in the world, to function in the dream. Okay? That's necessary. But a learning that stops with that, learning the names that butcher, that create the illusion of self and other, a learning that stops with that, stops short of meaning anything. So we first of all have to become fluent in the language of illusion, in the symbols. But then we have to realize, but now there's something beyond this. In its proper place, it serves but as a starting point from which another kind of learning can begin. So again, that process of learning the labels was necessary, and it reaches a completion at a certain age, and that's fine, but it now is the foundation for a new learning. A new perception can be gained, and all the arbitrary names the world bestows can be withdrawn as they are raised to doubt. Think not you made the world. Illusions, yes. You did not make a world. You modeling clay are appearing as a world, but it doesn't mean there's a world. The illusion is that modeling clay is appearing as a world. The illusion is that awareness is appearing as the world. But an illusion is something is not what it seems to be. The world is not what it seems to be. It is not a world of discrete objects and entities. It is unity masquerading as a world. It is awareness masquerading as a world. You are awareness masquerading as a body, thoughts, feelings, stories, memories, and a world. You are the whole that's in everything. Think not you made the world. Illusions, yes. But what is true on earth and heaven is beyond your naming. The mind's little names by which it manufactures an illusion of separateness. When you call upon a brother, it is to his body that you make appeal. His true identity is hidden from you by what you believe he is. A ghost, separated out from everything else by a discrete body. His body makes response to what you call him, for his mind consents to take the name you give him as his own. Remember, there is only the nameless name of God. There is only that which cannot have a label. The Course tells us we cannot speak, nor write, nor even think of this at all. The truth. God. Love. Non-duality. His body makes response to what you call him. A separate self. For his mind consents to take the name you give him as his own. This is the identification with name and form, and not the nameless. And thus his unity is twice denied, for you perceive him separate from you. You modeling clay don't know you're modeling clay. Therefore, you don't know your brother is the same modeling clay you are. You think there's self and other. You call yourself one thing and you call him something else. And you pretend you are discrete entities. It's not true. And thus his unity is twice denied, for you perceive him separate from you, and he accepts this separate name as his. It would indeed be strange if you were asked to go beyond all symbols of the world, forgetting them forever. Yet we're asked to take a teaching function. You have need to use the symbols of the world a while. You can't communicate without them. So if I want to communicate with you, impart information to you, I have to speak about unity as though it is separated up into discrete bits. Communication requires this. That's why the Course says you can't not teach a child the labels because the child couldn't function or communicate. So when you communicate, you must speak about that computer as though it is discrete. So you can communicate about it, but you shouldn't believe it in your mind. You shouldn't have objects in your mind. There is one identity, which is the truth of everything and everyone. How holy is the smallest grain of sand? How holy is the crappiest computer? How holy is the grass? How holy are the mountains? How holy is this microphone when it is recognized as part of the completed picture of God's Son? God's Son is modeling clay. It's awareness. The whole that is in everything. So we need to use symbols to communicate. What we shouldn't do is have symbols in our mind where they replace reality, where you're not directly experiencing the world that's here. You're stopping short. You're only interacting with your thoughts about the world. You're only interacting with symbols. You're not directly experiencing what's here, which is the whole that is everything and that everything is. So the Course is saying it's not about never using names again. It's about never believing them again. Once you discover essence, freedom, that which everything is, there's nothing for it but to come back into the world of symbols. But now it's not a real world. It's not believed. You still have to come back and use all the names, but you don't believe them. You have been shown the truth that there's no self and other. But now you still have to communicate as though there are discrete things, but you no longer believe them. You have need to use the symbols of the world a while, but be you not deceived by them as well. So yes, you have to use them. For now, that's how communication has to happen. But don't believe them. A symbol isn't reality. A thought isn't reality. It's a symbol for reality. It's not reality. But be you not deceived by them as well. They do not stand for anything at all. And in your practicing, it is this thought that will release you from them. They become but means by which you can communicate in ways the world can understand, but which you recognize is not the unity where true communication can be found. Thus, what you need are intervals each day in which the learning of the world becomes a transitory phase. You're ready to move on. I've done that learning. I've learned all the names. Now let me learn their meaninglessness and their unreality. A prison house from which you go into the sunlight and forget the darkness. Here you understand the word. No such thing as separateness. That's the word. The name which God has given you, which is God's name, which is not a name. The one identity which all things share, God's identity, the nameless, the one, the indivisible. The one acknowledgement of what is true, God. And then step back into darkness, not because you think it real, but only to proclaim its unreality in terms which the world, in terms which still have meaning in the world that darkness rules. What is darkness? A world mediated by the mind, by a private world, a fictional world of self and other. Use all the little names and symbols which delineate the world of darkness. the world of self and other, yet accept them not as your reality. The Holy Spirit uses all of them, but he does not forget creation has one name, no label. One meaning, and a single source which unifies all things within itself. That which is all-encompassing can have no opposite. The source which unifies all things within itself. Use all the names the world bestows on them, but for convenience. Yet do not forget they share the name of God along with you. One modeling clay. God has no name, and yet his name becomes the final lesson that all things are one. And at this lesson does all learning end. All names are unified. All space is filled with truth's reflection. Every gap is closed and separation healed. The name of God is the inheritance he gave to those who chose the teaching of the world to take the place of heaven. So that's the teaching of self and other to take the place of God's creation of oneness. In our practicing, our purpose is to let our minds accept what God has given as the answer to the pitiful inheritance you made as fitting tribute to the Son he loves. No one can fail who seeks the meaning of the name of God, which is one. Experience must come to supplement the word. But first you must accept the name for all reality. No self and other. If it's the truth, it's all encompassing. If it's the truth, it's the only truth of everything. And realize the many names you gave its aspects have distorted what you see, but have not interfered with truth at all. One name we bring into our practicing. One name we use to unify our sight. Direct seeing. Direct experiencing unmediated by the mind's labels. The real world. And though we use a different name for each awareness of an aspect of God's Son, so even though we use different names for the things modeling clay is modeled into, we understand that they have but one name, one modeling clay, which he has given them. Doesn't matter what the shape is, it's the same modeling clay. Doesn't matter what the appearance is, it's the one awareness. The one unthinkable, unspeakable, unsayable truth. Your truth. It is this name we use in practicing, and through its use, all foolish separations disappear which keep us blind, and we are given strength to see beyond them. Now our sight is blessed with blessings we can give as we receive. Father, our name is yours. In it, we are unified with all living things and you who are their one creator. What we made and call by many different names is but a shadow we have tried to cast across your own reality. And we are glad and thankful we were wrong. All our mistakes we give to you, that we may be absolved from all effects of our errors seemed to have. And we accept the truth you give in place of every one of them. Your name is our salvation. It's the end of the tiny mad idea. It's non-duality. Your name is our salvation and escape from what we made. Your name unifies us in the oneness which is our inheritance and peace. Amen. So reflect for a moment. What is your direct experience of what you are in this moment if you don't look to thoughts for an answer? What are you when you're not thinking about what you are? When all the labels in your mind are disregarded, what are you in this moment without the mind stories, without stories from the past or the future? Can you find any evidence of yourself as an ego, as a separate self? Or is there only awareness here? The holy place where thoughts can enter not. And just notice as you touch home to the truth that there's a bad habit where you keep looking to thoughts to validate what you are, and then you're lost again. What am I without anything thoughts say I am? And stay there. Do not look for thoughts to validate it. And in this moment, the room that you're in, what's actually here? What is your direct experience of what is here in this moment without thoughts, without the labels? What is your direct experience of this room without thinking? Are there any boundaries or barriers without thoughts? Without thoughts, is there a you in the room? Or is there just what is everything? Without thoughts manufacturing the idea of an inner and an outer. Is there an inner or outer? What's your direct experience of what's here in this moment when you stop believing thoughts about what's here? Is there really a subjective experience? Or is there just what is everything? So we won't torture you further. That's a starting place for your practice. So you touch into the truth out of madness or a miracle. Would anyone like to ask a question? So if you would like to do so, please put your virtual hand in the air. But if you want to do it now, because I won't leave dead air. If you want to ask a question, now is the time. And my lovely assistant, Linda, will give you an invite to take yourself off mute. But if you're all questionless, if you're all basking in the oneness that is everything, if you've all escaped from concepts, I'm very happy to knock off early and have my dinner on time for a change. So, would anyone like to ask a question or make an observation or ask my help in tweaking your understanding or experience? So, going once, going twice, going three times, and we're done. We're going to have an actual on time finish for a change. Okay. Guys, thanks a million for your attention. And we will catch up in the Facebook group during the week as usual. If you're listening, watching, and you're not a member of the Facebook group, come join us. Just make sure you agree to the group rules at the time that you are applying, or we can't let you in. Now, a couple of announcements. We will not have a meeting next week. All right. So that will be November the 2nd. We will have a meeting the following week. And here's something I've never done before. Never done before. Never wanted to do before. We're going to have a special guest with us, a live special guest. It's another course teacher um, who I have a lot of respect for. And that teacher, this surprise guest, will join us in 2 weeks' time. So thanks, guys. Enjoy the last of your weekend, and we catch up soon. Bye bye.